Let's look at 5 different things that can make your life a lot easier when working with concrete as a hobby. If you're new to working with concrete or mortar, it can be a little bit intimidating and you don't really know where to start. And I want to put you on the right track here and give you an idea of some things that you might want to pick up the next time you're at the hardware store. So what do you need for working with concrete? Well, I mean, probably not much. You need some concrete, right? Well, it's a little bit more than that. If you have the right tool for the job, you can make your life a lot easier. So let's look at some of these right now. The first one is going to come down to trowels. A margin trowel, or one that, little rectangular trowel, is a fundamental tool that you're going to be using all the time when you're working with concrete or mortar, because this is the one that you're going to be scraping around inside of the buckets with and mixing small amounts together. So you definitely want to pick up a margin trowel. In addition to a margin trowel, you might want to pick up a pool trowel. A pool trowel is different from a regular trowel in that it's not rectangular or squared at the edges. The pool trowel is rounded because, of course, swimming pools are rounded, and so you need that rounded edge in order to complete the interior surface finish. If you're doing lots of open, flat work concrete, go ahead and get regular concrete trowels that are squared at the edge. But if you're working with concrete as a hobby, a lot of the times you kind of need to get in there on a funny angle, and a pool trowel is a great choice to do that with. Something else that you definitely want to have a lot of when you're working with concrete as a hobby: sponges. These things are just invaluable. You'll use them as part of the cleanup process. You can use them to finish concrete. Look at this. I've got this vermiculite concrete brick that's sitting here that I've just poured. If you have a sponge, you damp it a little bit and then just wipe the edges clean. And it's the same for any type of formwork that you're using concrete or mortar for. A damp sponge is a great tool to use. Let's talk about another great tool that you can pick up. This is called a whip attachment. And you'll notice that it's pretty heavy duty. This is not a lightweight one that's intended for use with drywall. This is a pretty darn heavy one that's intended for use with concrete or mortar mixes. Note that the kind of drill that you would use for this is normally a heavy duty drill. This is probably not something that you want to use your cordless drill for. Another tip for working with concrete is that you're going to need a good spray bottle. A good spray bottle. A good spray bottle. You're going to need a good spray. You're going to need a good spray bottle. It's not bad, actually. Yeah. Look, okay, a big part of your life is going to be about spray bottles when you work with concrete as a hobby, but that's just part of the process. One more thing that you're going to need a lot of, and I mean a lot of, when you work with concrete as a hobby: buckets. You're going to need big buckets. You're going to need small buckets. I don't know, probably need tiny buckets, and also huge buckets perhaps if they're on sale. Pick up a lot of buckets when you're at the hardware store, because you're going to be using these for water. You're going to be mixing concrete and cement in them. You can reuse them a bunch of times if you're really diligent about cleaning them out after you're done working with them. But ultimately, they only last so long, especially if you're using that big drill and whip attachment that we were talking about earlier. I mean, there's probably a lot more stuff that you could pick up when you're at the hardware store, because the world of working with concrete is incredibly big. There's so many different things that you could do, but this list of items is a nice short list of critically important things that's going to make your life a lot easier and help you to produce better, more consistent results when you start working with concrete as a hobby. There you go, Igor.